Hey guys, I consider myself a pretty well disciplined individual who makes reasonably good decisions most of the time and has pretty good self-discipline, but I smoke, and I've smoked for 30 years. So if we can just have a look at smoking for a second, advantages and disadvantages. So let's start with the disadvantages, and we'll get to the advantages of smoking later. Disadvantages. Of course, it stinks. It makes our cars smell. My car stinks. So occasionally someone else will get in my car that doesn't smoke, and it's disgusting in here. It makes our clothes stink. It makes our breath stink. Recently I touched my wife on the face and she moved away from me because my hand stunk, because all day long this hand has got a cigarette in it. So it stinks. And then obviously the other disadvantages are the health concerns. Increases our chances of cancer. It makes it hard to breathe, so when we do sport and things like that, it makes it harder to breathe. There's some other things I've found out over the years too. My dentist told me that it affects the gums, because it makes the acid level in our mouths higher, so it affects our gums. So as we get older, our gums start to have problems, which means our teeth are more likely to fall out. The eye doctor told me that because the smoking increases the temperature of our body and our blood flow, that it also affects our eyes, which means as we get older, our eyes start to have more problems if we smoke. And of course, increase the chances of cancer, but also decreases our life expectancy, so we're likely to die younger. Which, as a young person, when I first started smoking, I didn't really care about, because I was young and that was all in the future. But as you get older, you start to realise that that's a problem. It costs money. We throw away a lot of money. If you look at how much you spend in a year on tobacco, in Japan, tobacco is pretty cheap. It's about 420 yen a packet, which is about $5 or something. I go through at least a packet a day, so there's a couple of $1,000 a year there that I burn. Obviously that's wasted. If you smoke for 5 years, there's $10,000. And other disadvantages that I'm sure you guys will think of and leave in the comment section. So we can switch to the advantages of smoking. So what are the things that we say are good about smoking? What are the things that smokers say are good about smoking? Well, we say that it helps us relax. It helps us concentrate. What else do we say that's good about smoking? Helps me relax, helps me concentrate. It's the two most common, isn't it? Can't think of any more right now, but if you do, just leave them in the comments as well. But is that true? Does it help us relax? If I've got a non-smoker sitting beside me here in the car who doesn't smoke, does that mean at the moment that I'm more relaxed than she is because I'm smoking and she's not? I think if we go back to the first cigarette that we ever had, at that time we smoked our first cigarette, it didn't make us relax. If anything, it made us feel sick. I remember my first cigarette made me green out, as we call it. My face went green. I felt really sick. It was terrible. Definitely not relaxed. So am I more relaxed than a non-smoker sitting beside me right now? And if I have to concentrate on something and I've got something difficult to do, does having a cigarette help me to concentrate more than the non-smoker sitting beside me? Am I concentrating better than that person is? I think what's really happening is, for a smoker, when we don't smoke for 30 minutes or an hour or something, if we're working, and this is usually what happens, isn't it? We're working, we're doing something, and then we stop working and we go, right, I'll have a cigarette and relax. And that's the feeling we have, that's the illusion we have. And I think what's really happening there is we've been busy for an hour or 2 hours or 3 hours and we haven't had a cigarette. So what's actually happened is our nicotine level in our body has dropped. So after an hour or 2 or 3 without a cigarette, our nicotine levels dropped, our body's saying, I want a cigarette, and our mind, more importantly, our mind is saying, I haven't had a cigarette for a long time, I'd like a cigarette. So then we have one. Really, it's just taking us back to normal. Because normal for us, normal for cigarette smokers, is the feeling that I had when I was smoking that cigarette that I just smoked. Now I've stopped, now I've put it out. My normal, here is normal while I was smoking this cigarette, and already it started to drop slowly. My feeling has started to drop below normal. So after an hour or 2 hours, my feeling is down here somewhere. So I light a cigarette and start smoking it, and my feeling comes back to normal, which gives me an illusion that I'm feeling better. Because when I was down here, I wasn't feeling real good. So then I smoke my cigarette, and I think, wow, that feels better. But in actual fact, it's only brought me back to normal. It's only brought me back to the same condition that the person who's a non-smoker has been feeling the whole time. So in actual fact, instead of helping us relax, what it's actually doing is, the times that we're actually smoking, we're at normal level, the same as the person sitting beside us who doesn't smoke. But the rest of the time, the other 23 hours a day where we're not actually drawing on a cigarette, our relaxation level's actually below normal. And we all know, smokers all know examples of that, where we're in some situation where we can't smoke, and we're with people who are non-smokers, and they're happy. You know, they don't care that they're not smoking, they don't need to. And at that time, they're feeling nice and relaxed and happy, you know, sitting on an aeroplane or sitting on a train or a bus or sitting in school or sitting at work, somewhere where they can't smoke, and they're quite happy. And it's us that are not relaxed because we want a cigarette, because we haven't had one. We're not having one. We're not having one at that time. And it's the same as the concentration thing, I think. You know, if a smoker and a non-smoker both have to concentrate on solving a problem, the non-smoker is in a normal condition and can do it without any trouble at all. But it's the smoker who says, I need a cigarette while I think about this. Because at that time we're below normal. Our level is below normal and we're being distracted. We're trying to think about the problem, but our body and our mind is distracting us and telling us to have another cigarette. So it's just, I'm sure it's just an illusion. We think it's bringing us to an above normal level. But it's not. It's just bringing it, while we're actually smoking, it's bringing us back to a normal level that non-smokers are at 24 hours a day, every minute of the day. They're already at that level. We only come back to normal when we're actually drawing on a cigarette. It's an illusion. And of course, when we think about stopping, which will be the topic of the next video, we worry about the physical withdrawals. Oh, you know, cigarette withdrawals. What is a cigarette withdrawal? So anyway, let's ponder on this. Please leave your observations or comments or anything else in the comment section, and this will be a series of videos, so I'll read all your comments like I always do before I make the next video in this series.